delighted to see so many bright, beautiful Krishna conscious faces, curious eyes, who regularly dive into the ocean of nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I wanted to thank the authorities of the temple for giving the opportunity to get your valuable association. And this is my first time in Holy Dham of Radhadesh, and I am absolutely excited about the amazing and wonderful Shishi Radha Gopinath, Lalita Vishakha, Shishi Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra, Shishi Gauranitai, because the glories of this Dham is spreading all throughout 3 worlds. And I heard about it for so many years. And ultimately, my dream came true. So thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity, and especially during this auspicious time of Radhadesh Melas, where devotees lose themselves in the holy names, this way performing the topmost, the best transcendental sacrifice of chanting the holy name of the Lord, pleasing, giving happiness to the all pious living entities throughout the universe. So this way we are participating in the pastime mission of Lord Caitanya, and also fulfilling the desire of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So again and again, I offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And let us relish this morning the nectar of the instructions of Shri Prahlad Maharaj. Jaradhamahndava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Maradhari Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Vanachare Jaya Kunja Vihare Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jaya Kunja Vihare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Tijana Vallabha Jayagiri Varadahari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Rajana Jaya Yamunatira Vanashare Jaya Kunja Vihari Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Ki Shri Gauranitai Ki Gaur Premanandi Is there a secret button or mantra to switch on this light?
It requires plugging into the current behind, but all plugs got busy with other devices.
Okay, so
I think one is free.
Then you can plug it in and Maharaj will have a light.
no, maybe plug me
is
in.
under the book.
Yeah.
The cable is under the book.
And the cable is under the book.
Sorry for.
There is more mystery behind there.
It's okay. It's okay.
Unfortunately,
I'm sorry.
so many things can go wrong in such days.
But despite everything, so many things are going right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today, which is 30th of January 2016, for the pleasure of all assembled devotees and by the mercy of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, we're continuing reading from the chapter Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates, which is Canto 7, Chapter 6, Shloka number 16. And we have it on the board, so therefore we can chant all together. Vidvan apitam danuja kutumbam. Vidvan apitam danuja kutumbam. Vidvan apitam danuja kutumbam. Vidvan apitam danuja kutumbam. Pushnan Svalokaya Nakalpate Vai. Pushnan Svalokaya Nakalpate Vai. Yaksviya Parakya Vibhina Bhavas. Yaksviya Parakya Vibhina Bhavas. Tama Prapadyeta Yata Vimudha. Tama Prapadyeta Yata Vimudha. Please.
Vidvanapitam danuja kutumbham. Ushnan svalokaya nakalpate vai. Yasviya parakya vibhinna bhavas. Samah prapadyeta yatha vimudha.
Vidvanapitam danuja kutumbam. Pushnan svalokaya nakalpate vai. Yasviya parakya vibhinna bhavas. Sama prapadyeta yata vimudha.
Vidvanapitam danuja kutumbam. Pushna svalokaya nakalpate vai. Yasvaya parakya vibhina bhavas. Sama prapadyanta yata vimudha.
Vidvanapitam danuja kutumbam. Pushnan svalokaya nakalpate vai. Yasviya parakya vibhina bhavas. Sama prapadyeta yata vimudha.
Ladies, please. Word by word. Vidvan, knowing. The inconvenience of material existence, especially in household life. Ape, although. Idham, thus. Danujaha, O sons of demons. Kutumbam, the family members or extended family members. Like one's community, society, nation, or union of nations. Pushnan, providing with all the necessities of life. Svalokaya, in understanding himself. Na, not. Kalpate, capable. Vai, indeed. Yaha, he who. Sviya, my own. Parakya, belonging to others. Vibhina, separate. bhava, having a conception of life. Tamaha, nothing but darkness. Prapadyeta, enters. Yata, just as. Vimudha, a person without education or one who is like an animal. Translation and purport of His Divine Grace is C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O my friends, sons of demons, in this material world, even those who are apparently advanced in education have the propensity to consider, this is mine, and that is for others. Thus they are always engaged in providing the necessities of life to their families in a limited conception of family life, just like uneducated cats and dogs. They are unable to take to the spiritual knowledge. Instead, they are bewildered and overcome by ignorance. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In human society, there are attempts to educate the human being, but for animal society, there is no such system, nor are animals able to be educated. Therefore, animals and unintelligent men are called vimuda, or ignorant, bewildered, whereas an educated person is called vidvan. The real vidvan is one who tries to understand his own position within this material world. And for example, when Sanatana Goswami submitted to the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, his first question was, Ke ami, kene amaya jare tapatraya. In other words, he wanted to know his constitutional position and why he was suffering from the threefold miseries of material existence. This is the process of education. If one does not ask, who am I? What is the goal of my life? But instead follows the same animal propensities as cats and dogs, what is the use of this education? As discussed in the previous verse, a living being is entrapped by his fruitive activities exactly like a silkworm trapped in its own cocoon. Foolish persons are generally engaged by their fruitive actions, karma, because of a strong desire to enjoy this material world. Such attracted persons become involved in society, community, nation, and waste their time not having profited from having obtained human forms. Especially in this age, Kali Yuga, great leaders, politicians, philosophers, and scientists are all engaged in foolish activities, thinking, this is mine, and this is yours. The scientists invent nuclear weapons and collaborate with the big leaders to protect the interest of their own nation or society. In this verse, however, it is clearly stated that despite their so-called advanced knowledge, they actually have the same mentality as cats and dogs, and other animals, not knowing their true interest in life. Becoming increasingly involved in ignorance, the so-called educated person who does not know his own self-interest or the true goal of life becomes increasingly involved in materialism. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj advises everyone to follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma. Specifically, at a certain point, one must give up family life and take to the renounced order of life to cultivate spiritual knowledge and thus become liberated. This is further discussed in the following verses. Vidvan apitam danuja kutumbam pushnan svalokaya nakalpatevai yasviya parakya vidbhinna bhavas tama prapadyeta yatta vimudha. O my friends, sons of demons, in this material world, even those who are apparently advanced in education have the propensity to consider this is mine and that is for yours, for others. Thus, they are always engaged in providing the necessities of life to their families in a limited conception of life, family life, just like uneducated cats and dogs. They are unable to take to spiritual knowledge. Instead, they are bewildered and overcome by ignorance. Yes, here we are, reading the wonderful instructions of Sri Prahlad Maharaj, whose dynasty became glorious only because of appearing such a wonderful, pure-hearted Vaishnava devotee as Prahlad Maharaj. And therefore, the story of Prahlad Maharaj was very much loved and was one of the most favorite stories Srila Prabhupada was using in his preaching because it's most relevant to our situation. In Kali Yuga, we find ourselves in the, quite demoniac circumstances, surroundings, association, and what we see is just all around a satsanga, a most inauspicious association. Therefore, how happy we are, how lucky we are that His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, back in 1966, he established, registered this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, already having the view of international society with the temples in Belgium, and Europe, America, what to speak of India, the rest of the world, China, Russia, all over the world. Although at that point, what did Srila Prabhupada had? Nothing. He didn't have even conditions for himself to stay up to normal standard. But still, because being a pure-hearted devotee, Senapati Bhakta, yes, he is up till today is the leader of our society, although seemingly physically not present, but through his instructions, through his purpose, transcendental purpose, and books, is attracting new devotees. Yeah. Most of us here in the temple, did we met Srila Prabhupada? Well, we may say unfortunately not, but fortunately we are reading his books. So it's not less than meeting him. We are meeting him every day by reading his books on purpose. Yes. I remember back in 1994, somewhere deep in Russia. Yes, don't ask where it is. It's somewhere deep in the nowhere. We were opening the temple. Even the city named was Samara. Yeah, Samara. This is official city name, Well, when I was telling in India to devotees, they said, what is this? This is a hell? What? Mara. Yes, Mara city. Well, we established a temple there, and we were installing Srila Prabhupada Murti, like this, in the temple, and we invited all the neighbors from around the temple. And because the temple was in a gypsy area, our neighbors were gypsies. So many gypsies came for the celebration. Because it was the beginning of the temple, still congregation was not as big as here you have in Radhadesh. So neighbors came and they were amazed and surprised. What is going on? They couldn't figure a thing. What's going on here? Yeah. And one devotee, he did a wooden, wonderful Vyasa-san for Srila Prabhupada, and His Holiness Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj was present to facilitate, help us with the deity of Srila Prabhupada installation ceremony. And later, after the ceremony, one devotee told me that he was approached by one gypsy person. Most probably he was a chief or a leader of that community there. So he approached one devotee and he said to the devotee, can you, devotee, introduce me to him? I want to speak with him. So he was pretty sure that, this is a live person, sitting very sober, very serious, and, everyone is worshipping him. So most probably he's the leader of this community, and I'm the leader of outside community. So, we have to develop our relationship. So the devotee kindly explained that this is murti, this is a statue, and we worship, and the person himself is already gone. So then this gypsy leader, he thought, okay. And he asked the devotee, who made this nice seat for your statue? And the devotee said, well, this is another devotee, Shivanand Sen Prabhu, he made this. So this gypsy leader, he approached that devotee and he said, did you make this? He said, yes. Can you make it for me as well? He also thought, if the leader should sit on the throne, I have to sit on the throne. So then all gypsies will worship me same nice way as they worship him. So, materialists, I have really no clue that, you have to be qualified to be worshipped, not just sit on the throne and by default you are worshipped. Yeah? No. So many funny things in this material world happen, and we see that Prahlad Maharaj is in the situation when, in the demoniac state, having demoniac father, going to the demoniac school. All his schoolmates are sons of the demons. Of course, in the chapter we read that we are not still so spoiled, because being children, being not so much involved in demoniac activities, therefore, Prahlad Maharaj, Krishna Paresh, wherever he found himself, he preaches, he tells about Krishna, schoolmates. I remember in Soviet times, we couldn't tell Krishna about Krishna consciousness to anyone, because you'll be immediately arrested. So seemingly that Prahlad Maharaj, of course, we may say he could preach to the schoolmates, but he was terribly harassed by his own father. I have a question. Is there somebody out here whose father tried to kill you by different means? Sounds terrible, huh? Sounds terrible. But Hiranyakashipu could not kill his son by throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, whose father tried us to throw under the feet of elephants, throw him among huge, fearful snakes. Prahlad Maharaj had to go through that. Employed destructive spells against his own son, hurling him from the top of the hill. On one weekend, Hiranyakashipu told Prahlad Maharaj, my dear son, let's go to the nature, to the woods, to the mountains. We'll have a picnic there. And when they went there, Hiranyakashipu said, he took just Prahlad Maharaj and threw him from the top of the mountain. And how surprised he was when after a few minutes, Prahlad Maharaj was again right next to him and said, "Father, that was so much fun. Can we do it again?" He got almost heart attack. He was sure that, at last, I got rid of my son, who is like a, headache for me. I am, the controller of the universe almost, and my son is nonsense number one. He's spoiling my glory, my demonian glory. And Prahlad Maharaj is right back and said, "Father, I like this flying pastime. Can we do it again?" Because, he was always in deep meditation of Lord Vishnu. And Lord himself was catching him on the bottom. And Prahlad didn't have a tint of fear. He was always in the trance of the Krishna consciousness. So, conjuring up illusory tricks against his son, administering poison against his son, starving him, exposing Prahlad to severe cold, winds, fire, water, throwing heavy stones to crush him. Who amongst us had to go through all this? Yes, of course, we know that every living entity has to suffer the threefold material miseries, like adhyatmika, devautika, daivik. Yeah, all of us. If we don't have material problems, we have mental problems. Yeah. Or some other living entity is always ready to harass us. So in this shloka we find one word, vimuda, yes, which is like donkey, ass, stupid. Even if a donkey has an opportunity to eat after hard days' work, labor, and walking down the road after the hard day, he sees, on the left side of the road there is a fresh grass, and on the right side of the road there is a hay, already cut and dried grass. And he thought, wonderful, my menu today is rich, grass or hay. But because he's vimudha, he cannot decide. He cannot decide. So should I eat grass or should I eat hay? And then he thinks, grass is so fresh, so nourishing. But there is one problem. I cannot eat in one spot. I have to walk and eat around. Yeah? And all day long I was walking and carrying the heavy load. So now I'm quite tired to walk. So maybe I'll eat hay. At least there's a pile. I can lie down there and just eat all night long, not moving an inch. But then he thinks, still, hay is dry. It's not so tasty. Grass is better. But then he comes back to the same argument. But I need to walk. You can't eat grass in one spot. You just take through grass and it's finished. You have to walk. And then he thinks, maybe I should take shelter of the hay. And all night long, trying to figure out what is better. Ultimately, he died out of starving. So, this is vimuda. And this is what material education gives us. It bewilders and creates confusion in your mind. Yeah, what to do? Is there a God and is there no God? Huh? People got confused. More educated, less pious. More educated, more confused. There is one class given by Gaur Govinda Maharaj where he glorifies one quality of a living entity, which are nicely described in the 16th chapter, the 3 shlokas, where Lord Krishna teaches the 18 qualities of a pious or divine qualities of a pious people. And one of the qualities is, yes, Gaur Govinda Maharaj in the class, he asks, our faith depends on what? Comes from where? And in the class of the devotees he was asking, and all the devotees were giving the answers. Where does our faith come from? What it depends upon? Faith. Where does it come from?
Chanting the holy name.
Chanting the holy name.
Associating with devotees.
With devotees. Spiritual experiences. Prashadam, our faith comes from, definitely, and it's coming close and closer. All of you have so many opinions, but Maharaj was saying no, 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 no. Doesn't matter what devotees gave him an answer, he said no. So they got bewildered. So where does this faith come from? Sorry? No.
Simplicity.
Yes, yes. Arjavam, simplicity. And he gave one story. He gave one nice story about 2 ladies. One lady was just married, a young lady, and another was her mother-in-law. Shishi Radha Gopinath ki, Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra ki, Shishi Gauranitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. And he told one story how the young lady just married with a mother-in-law. They went to the neighboring village for the Bhagavatam Katha. There was one Maharaj coming, sannyasi, to give a Bhagavatam Saptaha. So for one day they went to join, and all day long this sannyasi was preaching the glories of the holy name. The chanting of the holy name is the best austerities, the best sacrifice, is the source of all the mercy, all the blessings, and all day long he was preaching. So at night, those 2 ladies, they had to go home back to attend their duties, and on the way back they had to cross the river, but because there was a heavy rain, the river was rising up. So they thought what to do, we have to cross. And the mother-in-law, she told her younger daughter, she said, you go first, you cross the river. And she was crossing, and the water was rising up, and it was so dangerous, and she was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. My dear Lord, let me cross the river safe. And when she crossed, she called for mother-in-law, please come, you follow. And she was saying, I'm afraid. The water is too high, and she said, come, quick, unless it's not above your head. And the mother-in-law was crossing the river, and she was so scared, and she was calling, oh, my daughter-in-law, help me, I'm afraid to die. And the daughter-in-law said, quickly, come. Ultimately, mother-in-law, she crossed the river, and she was lying on the bank, and she was catching her breath and was so frightened, and the daughter-in-law was chastising her. She told, you stupid woman, all day long we spent listening to Bhagavatam, listening to the glories of the holy name. But at the time of danger, you were calling for whom? For me. I couldn't save you if you were carried away with the stream all day long. And we were chanting kirtan, and you never chanted the kirtan. So, Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he gave this is the story from Shastra, and he gave the conclusion that sometimes, and quite often, our material experience is the stumbling block on the path of devotional service. Because as this mother-in-law, she already, had whatever, 50, 60-year-old, and she knew how to function in this material world. And she thought that, to achieve this, you do that. To do this, you have to know this. And all this burdened with the experiences of material existence. But when there is a need to surrender, they surrender to insurances, money, house, family, but not to the Lord. And instead, when you are young, Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purports, he says that actually you have to attend to these spiritual practices when you are young, not when you are old, thinking that until I'm young, let me enjoy this world. And when I become old, then I become religious and surrender to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada said, it's nonsense, it's Vimuda. You cannot train an old person into these spiritual practices, he says. Yes. Like there is a saying, old tree you cannot bend, you can bend only young tree. The old one collapses. Yeah? So those who are preaching, they know that it's much more easy to preach to the young people, students, school pupil, because they are receptive. Yes. So there is one shloka in Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter saying, Yamam evam asam mudho janati purushottamam sasarva bhajatimam sarva bhavena bharata. Lord Krishna tells to Arjuna saying that the one who knows me as Supreme Personality of Godhead and has no doubt about that, asam mudha, the one who doesn't doubt that I am Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who knows who is Krishna? Who is Krishna? Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every one of us know, yeah? And seemingly we don't have doubts about that, yes? But listen what Lord Krishna tells to Arjuna. He says that the ones who don't doubt in me as Supreme Personality of Godhead engages himself fully in devotional service. So, all assembled devotees, are we here fully, 24 hours a day, engaged in devotional service? We try our best. So, what is the conclusion? To the extent we are not in Krishna consciousness, to that extent we have doubts in Krishna. Maybe we are not conscious of those doubts, but the criteria is here. If you don't have doubts in Krishna, then you naturally, spontaneously, happily, enthusiastically engage in the fully in the service of the Lord. As long we are not, as long we are serving whatever, having our jobs and all other mundane duties, to that extent we have doubts in Krishna. We agree that Krishna is God, but doesn't mean that we have full faith that Krishna is God. We may agree, yes? We are, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have enough piety to claim Krishna is God. Let him be. as long as he don't interfere with my material life. So sometimes we are in such position. On the other hand, there is a quite similar situation as Prahlad Maharaj in Bhagavatam, where Lord Shiva offers his prayers in the situation with Prajapati Daksha. When he was offended, and as Prahlad Maharaj, he was not only being offended, he was tried to be killed. And when schoolmates, his friends in the school, were saying, "Oh, Prahlad, we are so sorry. Your father's such a terrible guy. He tries to kill you. He's a demon." Prahlad Maharaj said, "What are you talking about? My father is so loving. Yesterday he brought me to the nature, to the mountains, and we had such a nice sport activity, jumping from the mountain. He is such kind, such a loving, my father. He had no, bitter feelings against his father. Yeah? Because he everywhere was seeing the Lord, and in his father's heart as well." Lord Kapila Muni, he also teaches Devahuti, saying that as long somebody is seeing differences amongst living entities, he will never achieve devotional service to me. Yeah? If you think, "Oh, this person is different from me, I am different from others," this is the knowledge in passion, in Rajagun. So you will not be able to perform devotional service in such a mentality. So Lord Shiva, he says, very good instruction for all of us. Yadi rachita diyam avidya loko pavidam japati naganaye tatvat paranugrahena. He said that with my mind fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord, I am no longer disturbed by persons who blaspheme me. Claiming that my activities are not purified, I do not mind their accusations, and I excuse them out of compassion, just as you exhibit compassion towards all living entities. Shiva admits, he's saying that doesn't matter. Somebody accuses you, blames you, curses you, like we read Hiranyakashipu was doing, yeah? Conjuring illusory tricks, employing destructive spells. Don't pay attention. Rather, be compassionate. Rather, excuse them. Because it is said that the enemy of a devotee never takes birth. A devotee doesn't have enemies. And Lord Shiva, he says that because his mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he is no longer disturbed by the ordinary critics on his way of life. Isn't it a good lesson for all of us? Just don't give a dime for one who criticizes you. Rather, be compassionate. And Srila Prabhupada, his commentary, he ends up concluding, the only remedy, therefore, in such an inauspicious situation of material existence is to continue Krishna consciousness rigidly in order to get out of the contamination of the material modes of nature. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Radha Gopinath Vishakkalalita ki, Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra ki, Shri Gaura Nitai ki. All glories to all the assembled devotees. I think this is the time to end up our class, and I have to obediently follow the schedule of the temple, just to relieve our temple president from another hard headache. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, little announcement. We have lost a key which with a pink watch on it. A little bunch of keys with a pink watch. If you could give it to the reception, that would be the best if you found it. Thank you.
You sound a lot